the faculty, members of the student body, ladies and gentlemen. I did not pause to say how very delighted and honored I am to be on the campus of this great institution of learning and to be a part of your lecture series. I certainly want to express my personal appreciation to Mr. Moore and Mr. Cox and all of you for extending the invitation. It is always a very rich and rewarding experience when I can take a brief break from the day-to-day demands of our struggle for freedom and human dignity and discuss the issues involved in that struggle with college and university students and concerned people of goodwill all over our country and all.
Yep, that's it. This is Ed Gray, Commiss Radio Show. I'm here at one of my offices here at Greyhaven. That's my home, my Texas summer home. And it's also my Texas winter home as well. I just call it home. I just want to talk a couple of minutes about Martin Luther King in Dallas, Texas. You know, growing up in Dallas, I've always been taught by some of my elders, so to speak, that Martin Luther King was chased away from Dallas by a group of ministers at the airport who said that we don't need none of that stuff here. You need to go back. You need to go back to Atlanta. Take that stuff back to Atlanta. Well, that really did not happen. During all of my research for the last 20, 30, 40 years of my life, I've devoted myself to uplifting my people and also learning the truth. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes of your time as I have my morning coffee break from research to talk about Dr. King in Dallas in the 1960s. I grew up in Dallas, and growing up in Dallas, there's a narrative that said that a bunch of ministers met Dr. King at Love Field Airport and told him, go back to Atlanta. We don't need any of that protesting here in Dallas, and therefore Dallas scheduled protests. Well, that didn't really happen. And tomorrow, I will be on campus with some of my colleagues at SMU to commemorate Dr. King's March 17th speech at SMU in front of their student senate. You see, the student senate invited Dr. King to speak, and he spoke here on March 17th, 1966. He said, as long as we have justice around, it is necessary for us to bring justice to the surface. And somewhat like injustice, he said, to bring injustice to the surface. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to bring truth to the surface as well. Because Dr. King actually was here in Dallas upon three occasions. And we're going to go just briefly through those occasions. March 17th, 1966, Dr. King was invited to speak at SMU. That student senate invited him to speak, and you heard some of the words that were said by Dr. King at that time. And he implored people to continue to march for justice, to protest against injustice. See, marching was a protest. It was not marching as we know it today as we're getting ready to go march, and then we're getting ready to go ahead and first we're going to get a permit, we're going to get a march, the police are going to be around to make sure nothing bad happens to us, and then after that we're going to go home. That wasn't what that was about. They marched and protested without a permit, which meant that's the reason why they went to jail, because they were impeding traffic, they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, they were basically trespassing, if you will, but they were trespassing for justice. They were protesting an injustice. And that's what Dr. King spoke at SMU about it. He said for them to continue to do that. So think about it, folks. He was on SMU's campus speaking to the people of Dallas and to the people of the world that you had to continue to do those things I just said. To do them. Because injustice is around and we have to bring it to the surface. And that's pretty much what I've been doing all my life. So I want to bring that truth that if Dr. King was met at an airport, and I've always thought that was kind of funny. You know, Dr. King's at Love Field. He's at Love Field chilling, you know, waiting to get on the cab to go to South Dallas. You know, because he ain't had no place in North Dallas for him to go to, so he would have to be going to South Dallas. Or North Dallas would be short North Dallas. He'd go there and chill and hang out. But they met him at the airport and they said, go back home. And he said, oh, I guess I'll go back home. Never mind the fact Bull Connor had dogs and everything else and water hoses, and he didn't go back home for that. So a bunch of preachers came to him in the airport with some Bibles and said, go home. And he said, okay, I'm getting ready to go back home. I don't think that ever happened. Now, that's 1966 that Dr. King was here. So we'll dispel one of those rumors that said he was never here. Let's go back to another date in which he was here. 1963. January 1963. In my master's thesis, I spoke about Dallas 1963. It began with King being here in January and it ended with President Kennedy being here in November. What a hell of a year in Dallas, wasn't it? But Dr. King was invited to be here by Dr. Rhett James, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church in South Dallas. And, well, he was invited to be here. And he was invited to be here by Dr. James because Dr. James was encouraging people to not only register to vote, but also to pay your poll taxes. That was a two-step process. You have to register to vote, and then you have to pay your poll taxes. So Dr. King was here to say, first of all, we don't need to have a tax on democracy. But since we have it, let's pay our poll taxes. Where did he say that at? Well, it's the Dallas Music Hall. You know where that's at. The African American Museum, the parking lot. You know, you go outside and you park, and it's the building right next to it. That's where Dr. King spoke in January of 1963. So I will be encouraging the city of Dallas to put a historical marker to commemorate the spot where King walked. If SMU can do it, then Dallas can do it. Fort Worth has already did it. They have a spot in Fort Worth where King spoke. So I want you in Dallas to encourage your city councilman to do the same. So now, what we see here at the Dallas Music Hall, we see in January of 1963, a bomb threat was made against Dr. King. The police told Dr. King, that's right, in Dallas, Texas, a bomb threat against Dr. King. They said, if you spoke that night, you won't be speaking any other night. At the Dallas Music Hall, they had a bomb threat because Dr. King was going to speak. Dr. King decided, I'm going to speak. You're just going to have to find the bomb. So he made the Dallas Police Department look for the bomb, and, well, that was no bomb. That was just a threat. And Dr. King spoke that night about paying your poll taxes. That's two occasions that we see that Dr. King actually was in Dallas doing things that people say that, well, he didn't come to Dallas. He didn't come to Dallas at all. But see, we see Dr. King actually spoke 2 times in Dallas, pulling injustice up from the weeds where everyone could see. 1966, Dr. King imploring people to protest and march against injustice in Dallas. He did it. 1963, Bomb threat made. Dr. King said, never mind the bomb threat. I'm going to speak tonight anyway. It happened right here in Dallas. But they don't want you to know anything about it. Because, see, if you know something about it, then you won't know the truth. Well, the truth is always good. Just as good as Good Street. Good Street Baptist Church. Located, no. I got you on that one. You thought I was going to say Bonneview Road. Well, it was located actually on Good Street. Why would they call it Good Street if it wasn't on Good Street? Well, right now we know Good Street to be where the Latino Cultural Center is at. That's where Good Street, the church was at, but now it's the Latino Cultural Center because they built a freeway through the black community of North Dallas and told all the black people there, you know, we're going to go ahead and give you some money to leave. You got to find some other place. And then Good Street moved from Good Street to Bonneview, to Bonneview. Well, that's another story. We'll talk about that later. But it was the 1950s, and Dr. King, young man, was just recently got through with the Montgomery bus boycott. He came to Dallas because Good Street invited him to Dallas. You know, Good Street invited him to Dallas for Youth Day. Now, Dr. King wasn't as big as we know him now. He was just a minister from Montgomery, Alabama, that's going to come and speak. And some people heard him speak. And he talked about, the normal things that Dr. King speaks about. You know, injustice, freedom, that kind of thing. But shortly after that, DTS, I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, but DTS decided to go ahead. Oh, wait a minute, I'm telling off on myself. Dallas Transit System. For you young people that don't know anything about DTS, that's what we had before we had DART. Dallas Transit System decided to go ahead and desegregate. It's funny. And they said Dr. King didn't do anything in Dallas. Well, now you know. You better tell somebody. I got to get ready to go. Got to do some more reading. Wait a minute, hold on. I think he's about to say something. Yeah.
All over the world.
See you guys later.
So it is a delightful pleasure to be here with you today.